Glory be to God, you deserve it all. Yeah.
Welcome back to A Diary of Our Souls. It's officially episode 1, y'all. Episode 1 is this one right here, which is titled Pursuing Purpose. This episode really is all about the reason why I moved to San Diego. Why I decided to come out here to San Diego. So just a little backstory. During my divorce, I know my mind was like, girl, you got right to it. Let's get right to it. During my divorce, I moved back to Lancaster, and I was living with my mom. And initially, moving to Lancaster, my plan was to be out there no more than 6 months. I actually thought that 6 months was way too long. I was trying to be gone within a couple of weeks from going there. But the theme of my life is that nothing goes as planned. Nothing goes as planned at all. So what I thought was gonna be maximum 6 months really turned out to be 2 years. And I was okay with 2 years because after I was at the 6 month mark, I was like, okay, baby girl, be a little realistic now. You're starting over from scratch. You need to prepare and really give yourself, a realistic time frame of being in Lancaster. It was never going to be a place of permanent residency. I never intended to be there long term. So I ended up staying 2 years in Lancaster, which ultimately was a blessing because after a year of being out there, I lost my job, which that was great because I ended up being able to have leisure of time. That was something that I kept praying to God for, is that I just need leisure of time. You get divorced and you move and you're trying to move and you're trying to make all these plans. And I was literally in a constant motion, constant routine of go, 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 that there was a part of me that because I was staying in motion, that I wasn't really processing fully the emotions of getting a divorce, which the main emotion I felt was grief, and it wasn't the grief of losing my ex-husband, and that marriage. It was the grief of losing my plan, what I thought my life was going to look like with somebody, what I thought, the next however many years that God was going to bless me in that covenant. I grieved that because I lost that. Not only did I lose it, I fought so hard for it. And I prayed and meditated that it would be restored, but it wasn't. And that's okay. That was okay. And that was that season of my life, and that season and that time is spent with that person. And so losing my job and being in Lancaster, it just gave me time to really reflect and really feel my emotions, which was something that I think in totality I was able to do for the first time in my life, because I was very used to, especially being in a divorce with someone manipulative, I was very used to wanting to express myself and trying to get out what I was feeling, but also stuffing the feelings down, because as you know, one of the things is one of my struggles sometimes is feeling like no one's going to understand what I'm going through. No one's going to understand or think that this is relatable. Who can give me advice? Who can actually genuinely tell me in such a hard time, a hard period of my life, not how to feel, but how to navigate the journey into healing. And divorce is very common. People go through divorce all the time. I have family members that were going through divorce. My thing is, I was divorcing someone who chose to solicit money for sex. So I didn't really know how to navigate that conversation in a healthy way. And when I say in a healthy way, in a way where the feelings of bitterness were over, and like these next emotions, how can I navigate like speaking that? But I had a great opportunity to do mentorship, to do counseling, to do trauma therapy with two beautiful women who have very much like shaped the rest of my life, my outlook on the rest of my life. And being able to do that also allowed me to really reflect on just trauma altogether, like childhood trauma and certain things that I was conditioned to, and certain traits of people that I was conditioned to thinking is normal, when in fact it's absolutely not normal to be treated the way that I was treated by my ex. But during this time also, I started my business, Beauty for You and Me, which is a beauty servicing business to provide, like your lashes and your waxing and your facials. I was working out of a spa, and I really enjoyed doing that. I really enjoyed watching like my life start to evolve in a different direction than what I was so used to having. And so having the beauty business, that really made me feel like there has to be so much more than Lancaster. Like, and I know that the world is obviously like bigger than Lancaster, right? But I wanted to know, like, if I move somewhere, because that was the plan, to move ultimately, like, where would I go? Where would I move to where this business could at least like be successful, where this business could maybe allow me to continue to work full time for myself and allow me to, grow clientele and just have this beauty business that my heart was desiring. So I did start to plan to move to like Texas. What other places here in California could I live? Did I want to come back towards this way, which would have been like the Temecula, Wildomore area where my ex was living, so that my daughter, could be closer to her father. That was probably one of the biggest things, trying to figure out how to close the gap in distance for my daughter and her father. But ultimately, I had to kind of like work with some emotions through that as well. And I just want to share this because for single parents, I think that a lot of the times, especially when you're not in a co-parenting relationship yet, or where that, like, I'm getting off track. For single parents, co-parenting is great. It's important. If you have the opportunity to do it in a healthy way, I absolutely would say do it. But for parents who are the primary default parent and you don't really have another parent participating fully in co-parenting, you have to make the best decision for you and your child ultimately. And that is where I ultimately decided, like, I can't decide to move somewhere closer to him for my daughter and for me, honestly, the thought was, because if he wanted to, he would have, right? Like, if it was a need for him to live closer to our daughter, he would have done that. He would have found the resources to provide him a capability to do that. So I had to let go all of the external factors of where we were going to live and what I wanted to ultimately do. Because, I've been a single mom since my daughter was born. I've done everything, the majority of everything by myself, but it was very real, like, after the divorce, besides my family, like, helping me when I needed help, I had nobody. There was no one to depend on. There was no one to know, like, okay, at the end of the night, someone's coming home to do the night shift, or someone's participating with you on the weekend. So I had to really make a decision as a single mother, what is best for myself and my daughter, especially Like, I'm doing this 100% of the time. When it is time to leave Lancaster and I know that I don't have my immediate village, where can I go to flourish and not be afraid to do it by myself? And so that was just a constant thought. Dallas, Temecula, San Diego, like, where did I want to go? And what happened was, one of my girlfriends and I, we ended up coming down to a trip for just like a quick spring break. Like, just let's get out of Lancaster. Let's go on a quick, like, girls weekend to San Diego, and let's just unwind and have fun. And I was super excited about San Diego because San Diego has always been a place that I visited when I lived in Wildomore. I was always coming up the hill to San Diego. San Diego for me is like, it just always has felt like home. It's always felt like my grandparents' place, which has always been a place of stability. It's always been a place of peace. So anytime I would visit San Diego or know that I was coming up to San Diego, I would get like so excited because it's just a vibe out here. It's literally just a vibe out here. So we came down to San Diego. We had there's no word for the amount of just a good time that we had. And I remember her and I like driving to like the mall or something. And I was just like, girl, I could live here. Like, I could actually like see myself living here, me and Michaela, like in San Diego full time, just like evolving and flourishing and growing in like the way that I think like God wants me to grow. And she was like, my friend was like, really? I was like, yeah, like if I wanted to, I could be in San Diego before the end of the year. And just to give you guys time frame, we went to San Diego end of May. And so I moved to San Diego July 5th. So May, June, I mean, it was literally like 5 weeks. I'm sorry, I'm hot. I feel like, I don't know why I'm going through a hot flash. But so I'm in San Diego, we're visiting, we're having fun, and I'm telling her, like, I think this is it. I think this is the place. And I know it's the place because not am I just in an environment like having fun, having like a girls' weekend. But even in our moments of like just not doing nothing and like relaxing and just like walking around like Old Town, like going different places, I was just like, I could raise my daughter here. So when we left San Diego, I made my mind up that I was moving to San Diego, that the next time I was coming back to San Diego, one, it was going to be my birthday. And then two, full time, it was going to be because I was moving here. Like, I was moving here. And so I remember like going home back to Lancaster and kind of letting like that decision like marinate a little bit. Like, okay, let this marinate, you know, let me know. Like, I needed to let myself know, like, it was not because of the hype. It was not because of like the vibe of just having like a great girls weekend. It was just like something called me to that place. And as I marinated on the decision, my ex actually had ended up calling me maybe like a week later, a week and a half after being back in San Diego, from San Diego. And he pretty much was like, oh yeah, actually no, March. End of March, we went to San Diego. March, April, May. I got a job in June. We moved in here in July. May was not spring break. It was spring break. So it was like end of March because I had to turn up in April too. Okay, so time frame, the end of March, spring break, we came to San Diego, and then maybe in May, yeah, because I did marinate on it for a while, for a couple weeks. So then in May, the beginning of May, my ex had told me that he was moving to San Diego, that he got a job and that his plan, he was going to, I guess, commute, whatever, but he was moving to San Diego. And I was just like, okay, say less. If that's what you want to do. And, he was like, well, you don't have no thoughts, no feelings on it. No, because I'm moving to San Diego too. I'm moving to San Diego too. And so he thought that I was moving. I'm getting carried away. So when my ex told me that he was moving to San Diego, I was just like, say less. Because that was something I was already planning on doing. So I felt like there was the reassurance that I needed. Like, here is the reassurance that making this decision is going to be a great decision. And maybe now you and your ex have an opportunity to co-parent. My daughter has a chance to be closer to her father and spend more time with him. So I really felt like his move to San Diego was a definitive answer, like, from the God of the universe saying, like, you can go to San Diego. I'm blessing and calling you to move to San Diego. So I got a job. And like I said, we moved out here July 5th. And so moving out here July 5th at this time, the plan was only to stay with him like no more than 3 weeks, because my move-in date for my first apartment was supposed to be August. And that didn't go as planned. As I told y'all, there's a theme to my life. Shit don't go as planned. So that did not go as planned. And so when the move-in date, and I actually received notification before like the 1st of August that the move-in date was not going to be that. So I had to make the decision to send my daughter back to Lancaster to live with my mom, because looking back on it, we could have definitely made a way for like my daughter and I to stay in San Diego, or to stay with my ex like a little bit longer. The thing was like childcare, like what was going to be childcare when she got out of school. There was not going to be anyone home to pick her up, or, after school program. So I just made the decision to send her back to my mom's. And the plan was like no more than like 6 weeks, like 6 weeks. And I'll be in my new place. I'll come get her and we can start our life here in San Diego. Who would have known that 6 weeks was going to turn into 6 months without my daughter? Crazy. Very crazy. And I'm going to share more in like the coming episodes of what that looked like and what that felt like to be separated from my child for so long, especially when like you're separated because you're building, right? Like I'm not separated from you because I just don't want the responsibility of being like a parent at this time, but separated because I was building, and there were there was so much that was telling me to like go.